In the tumultuous currents of life, where every day feels like a relentless battle against time and circumstance, the simple act of receiving a warm embrace becomes a beacon of solace amidst the chaos. It's in these moments of overwhelming vulnerability that the longing for your comforting arms becomes an ache deep within my soul. The weight of the world presses down on my shoulders, leaving me gasping for air, drowning in a sea of responsibilities and expectations. I yearn for respite, for a fleeting moment of peace where I can catch my breath and gather the shattered pieces of my spirit. These days, it feels as though there's barely enough time to blink, let alone pause and tend to the whispers of my own heart. Each passing moment is consumed by a relentless tide of tasks and obligations, leaving me feeling stretched thin, like a taut wire on the verge of snapping. In the midst of this whirlwind, I find myself yearning for the sanctuary of your presence, a safe harbor where I can lay down my burdens and simply exist. The desire to escape, to retreat into the comforting embrace of sleep, becomes an ever-present longing. I fantasize about lying in your lap for hours on end, cocooned in the warmth of your love, drifting away into a blissful oblivion where worries cease to exist. Yet, even in the embrace of sleep, the weight of the world follows me, manifesting in restless dreams and fitful tossing and turning. There are moments when the overwhelming tide threatens to engulf me, when the tears well up and spill over, unchecked and uncontrollable. It's in these moments of vulnerability that I feel the most alone, as if I'm adrift in a vast and unforgiving sea, with no one to hear my cries or offer a guiding hand. The feeling of helplessness is suffocating, like a vice around my chest, squeezing the air from my lungs. In the quiet depths of the night, when the world is shrouded in darkness and silence reigns supreme, I find myself grappling with the weight of my own emotions. The heaviness in my heart is palpable, a tangible presence that refuses to be ignored. I long for someone to confide in, someone who will listen without judgment or interruption, allowing me to pour out my soul without fear of condemnation or ridicule. The need for release, for catharsis, becomes an insatiable hunger, gnawing at the edges of my consciousness. I yearn to unburden myself, to lay bare the depths of my anguish and despair, in the hopes that doing so will bring some measure of relief. Yet, the words catch in my throat, tangled in a web of doubt and insecurity, leaving me paralyzed and mute. In the quiet moments of introspection, I find myself grappling with a profound sense of loneliness, despite the company that surrounds me. It's a loneliness that cuts to the bone, a deep and abiding ache that refuses to be assuaged by the presence of others. I feel adrift, like a ship lost at sea, with no lighthouse to guide my way home. And yet, amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope, a flickering flame that refuses to be extinguished. It's the hope that someday, somehow, I will find my way back to myself, that I will emerge from the depths of despair stronger and more resilient than before. It's the hope that your love will serve as a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding me through the stormy seas and into the calm waters beyond. So, I cling to that hope, like a lifeline in the midst of a tempest, trusting that it will carry me through the darkest of nights and into the dawn of a new day. And as I navigate the turbulent waters of life, I hold on to the promise of your embrace, knowing that in your arms, I will find the peace and solace that has eluded me for so long. You make it incredibly challenging for someone not to fall for you deeply. When we first crossed paths, I was immediately struck by your presence, your essence that seemed to emanate a magnetic pull. At that moment, I made a conscious decision to keep my distance, to avoid any potential entanglement. It wasn't because I didn't find you captivating, on the contrary, it was precisely because I felt such a strong attraction towards you that I recoiled. You were a mystery to me, an enigma I wasn't sure I was prepared to unravel. My history with love and relationships had been a tumultuous one, marked by heartbreaks and disappointments. I had built walls around my heart, fortified by past wounds, and I was determined to shield myself from further pain. Thus, I convinced myself that steering clear of any romantic involvement was the safest course of action. I told myself that if I kept my distance, if I avoided getting to know you on a deeper level, the intense feelings would eventually fade away. But as they say, the heart wants what it wants, and mine seemed to have a mind of its own. Despite my best efforts to resist, my thoughts kept drifting back to you, like a moth drawn inexorably to a flame. Every time our paths crossed, I could feel the pull, the undeniable chemistry that crackled in the air between us. It was as if the universe was conspiring to bring us together, despite my desperate attempts to keep you at arm's length. I struggled with conflicting emotions, torn between the desire to protect myself from potential heartache and the longing to explore the possibility of something more with you. Each interaction with you was a delicate dance, a balancing act between my head and my heart. I found myself teetering on the edge of a precipice, unsure whether to take the plunge into the unknown or to retreat to the safety of familiar ground. The more I tried to resist, the stronger the pull became, until it reached a point where it was impossible to ignore. I realized that if I continued to deny my feelings, I would only be denying myself the chance at true happiness. And so, with trembling hands and a racing heart, I tentatively began to inch closer to you, testing the waters of our connection. It wasn't easy. Far from it, in fact. Being just friends with you proved to be one of the most challenging tasks I had ever undertaken. Every moment spent in your presence was a battle against my own desires, a struggle to maintain the facade of indifference. You were right there in front of me, so close yet so tantalizingly out of reach, and all I could think about was crossing that invisible boundary that separated us. But I held myself back, exercising a level of self-control I didn't know I possessed. There were times when I behaved rudely or ignored you altogether, a desperate attempt to quell the storm of emotions raging within me. I took refuge in cold showers and solitary moments, seeking solace in the temporary relief they provided. Yet, no amount of physical distance could dampen the fire that burned for you in my heart. Eventually, I reached a breaking point, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos of my conflicting emotions. I realized that if I didn't make a move, if I didn't take a leap of faith, I would spend the rest of my days wondering what could have been. And so, with trembling hands and a heart full of hope, I finally confessed my feelings to you, laying bare the depths of my affection. To my relief and utter joy, you accepted me with open arms, despite my initial hesitation and reluctance. In that moment, it felt as though a weight had been lifted from my shoulders, as though I had finally found my place in the world. With you by my side, I felt whole, complete in a way I had never experienced before. Since that fateful day, my life has been irrevocably changed for the better. You have become my rock, my confidant, my partner in crime. Together, we have weathered storms and celebrated triumphs, building a bond that grows stronger with each passing day. You have shown me the true meaning of love, teaching me to embrace my emotions rather than hide from them. I may have been an idiot in the past, but with you, I am learning to be a better version of myself. I promise to always be there for you, to support you, to love you unconditionally. You are the best decision I have ever made, and I am eternally grateful to have you in my life. With you, I have found my home, my sanctuary, my refuge from the chaos of the world. So here's to us, my love, to the journey we have embarked upon together and the adventures that lie ahead. I may not have known it at the time, but I needed you more than I ever realized. And now that you are here, I will never let you go. You belong in my arms, now and forevermore.